I'm sorry. I must have lied. I must have lied when I saw that Dr. Zelenko was being persecuted by the media, that you could no longer find his videos on Google. You could only find on Google when you Googled his name that he was under investigation. That hydroxychloroquine that he claimed was a wonder drug actually was very dangerous for you and had no effect at all on COVID 19 patients. Was study after study showed that it was dangerous, and the WHO, the World Health Organization, the ones that went ahead and told us that China, that the China virus couldn't be transferred by people, and that the Chinese had done everything they could, and they weren't responsible at all. That organization, they dropped COVID, they dropped hydroxychloroquine from any kinds of testing because it's so terrible and so dangerous. And because it's such a lie, people were interested only in the truth, and therefore they forced my video off of these programs in the name of truth. So I must have lied when I told you that Dr. Goldberg, who's my cardiologist for about 20 years, told me that if I have a atrial fibrillation, and I was wondering if hydroxychloroquine was okay for me to take, and he said to me that it's not a problem because he has many patients that have lupus, and they've never had a problem in all the years. He said he's only been a cardiologist for about 35 years. He must have been lying to me also. And I must have been dreaming when I read reports that in Brazil and in other countries, they had found that the results of hydroxychloroquine and zinc were remarkable. It was lowering the death rates by a considerable amount. And that there were countries that were investigating the fact that those people who took hydroxychloroquine for lupus almost never developed COVID-19. There must be something wrong with that kind of approach. Something must be wrong. And so when Dr. Zelenko said that he treated 405 patients that had been high-risk patients, that means that they were over 60 or had other issues, or they looked terrible and they were very, very sick. So he gave them the regimen of hydroxychloroquine, azithromycin, and zinc. And of the 405, only 2 died. And the rest of them, there was a few that were intubated, but they went off intubation. Those who were hospitalized came out of the hospital. All of that must have been a lie. The truth is that they must have been eating Snickers. Well, Snickers is not kosher. They must have been eating a kosher version of Snickers or Mars bars that must have given them the energy. No, I know what it was. They must have been eating spinach, just like Popeye, and they got this additional burst of energy that punched the virus in the nose. And that's really what happened to the people of Kiryat Yoel. Out of 405 patients that he treated, you must know that Dr. Fauci, who's a paradigm of virtue, he totally is a completely virtuous person. No scandals have ever come to Dr. Fauci. He's such a clean whistle. He's so honored and so on. He said that this doctor is only telling us anecdotal evidence. It's only anecdotal if 405 people who are very, very susceptible, only 2 of them die, when according to the numbers, as many as 40 should have died and 80 should have gone to the hospital. Of the 750 patients that were treated for COVID-19, 405 of them in Kiryat Joel were treated by Dr. Zelenko. He had 2 deaths. The other side had 12 deaths. Am I missing something? I must be lying. I must be telling you a fib. He must have given them something else, read a misvir or whatever it was, some kind of other misvir. And he didn't know what he was talking about because he was lying, and so was I. And Dr. Harvey A. Risch, who's who's a doctor of epidemiology at Yale University, he also must be a liar because he feels that it's very, very helpful to have hydroxychloroquine and zinc and azithromycin at the onset of the symptoms of COVID-19. He must also be lying. It doesn't make a difference that he's a professor at Yale, but he has to be lying too. And all those doctors that supported Dr. Zelenko and all the countries that he quotes, that also has to be a lie, even though I saw some of those reports with my own eyes. But we must be lying. Because why else would they have demanded that I take my video off if not for the pursuit of truth? I must have lied badly to you. And we have to say that Dr. Zelenko did the same thing. Maybe he made a mistake and I must have lied really badly. And I have two words to tell you. If you believe my previous statements, I have a bridge. It's called the Brooklyn Bridge.